Welcome to English Practice Every Day. In today's idioms practice video, we will learn 7 new idioms and practice them with simple sentences. After practicing, we'll read aloud a short story that incorporates all the idioms, helping us understand them in context. Let's start. Please speak out loud with me as we practice. 1. Keep one's head above water. Keep one's head above water means to manage to survive, especially financially, despite difficulties. Keep one's head above water means to manage to survive, especially financially, despite difficulties. With rising prices, many families find it hard to keep their heads above water. Amy had to take on extra shifts to keep her head above water and pay her bills. The company is barely keeping its head above water due to the economic downturn. After losing his job, Sam struggled to keep his head above water by doing part-time work. 2. On the front line. On the front line means being in a position of direct involvement, often in a dangerous or critical situation. On the front line means being in a position of direct involvement, often in a dangerous or critical situation. Soldiers on the front line face the greatest danger in a war. Teachers are on the front line of shaping the future of children. Nurses and doctors were on the front line during the pandemic. The firefighters were on the front line, battling the massive wildfire. 3. King of the roost. King of the roost means the most dominant or authoritative person in a group. King of the roost means the most dominant or authoritative person in a group. At home, Grandma is the real king of the roost. Everyone listens to her. Ever since he won the championship, Tom thinks he's the king of the roost. The school bully used to be the king of the roost until someone stood up to him. The CEO is the king of the roost in the company, and no decision is made without his approval. 4. The blind leading the blind. The blind leading the blind means a situation where a person with little knowledge is guiding another who also lacks knowledge. The blind leading the blind means a situation where a person with little knowledge is guiding another who also lacks knowledge. Without a map, their hike felt like the blind leading the blind. The intern was training the new hire. It was the blind leading the blind. They tried to bake a cake without a recipe, and it was the blind leading the blind. The new teacher didn't know the material, so it was like the blind leading the blind. 5. Hook, line, and sinker. Hook, line, and sinker means to believe something completely without questioning it. Hook, line, and sinker means to believe something completely without questioning it. Joe fell for the scam hook, line, and sinker and lost all his money. The audience believed the magician's trick hook, line, and sinker. Mia told Ben a fake story and he believed it hook, line, and sinker. Leo was so in love that he believed Jane's lies hook, line, and sinker. 6. Do away with. Do away with means to eliminate or get rid of something. Do away with means to eliminate or get rid of something. The government plans to do away with unnecessary regulations. We should do away with old, outdated policies that no longer work. The school decided to do away with uniforms and allow casual wear. Ivy finally did away with her bad habits and started living a healthier life. 7. Hey presto. Hey presto is a phrase used to indicate that something has happened suddenly or as if by magic. Hey presto is a phrase used to indicate that something has happened suddenly or as if by magic. He waved his hand over the box and hey presto, a rabbit appeared. I rearranged the furniture and hey presto, the room felt twice as big. Jack put on his suit and hey presto, he looked like a completely different person. Mix the ingredients, bake for 30 minutes, and hey presto, you have a delicious cake. That's the end of the practice session. Let's now read out loud a short story using all the idioms in a proper context. Title of the story: The Village's New Hero. In a small village by the river, life was simple but not always easy. The villagers worked hard to keep their heads above water. They farmed, fished, and traded to make ends meet. But one year the river flooded and their crops were ruined. Everyone was worried about how they would survive. Among the villagers was a young man named Tom. Tom was kind but not very experienced. He had always lived in the shadow of his older brother, who was the king of the roost in their family. His brother made all the decisions, and Tom just followed along. But when the flood came, his brother left the village to find work in the city. For the first time, Tom had to step up. The village chief called a meeting. "We need someone to lead us through this crisis," he said. Tom, feeling brave, volunteered. The villagers were unsure. Tom had never been on the front line of anything before, but with no other options, they agreed to let him try. Tom's first task was to organize the rebuilding of the damaged homes. He gathered a group of villagers, but none of them had any experience in construction. It was like the blind leading the blind. They tried their best, but the walls they built kept falling down. Tom felt frustrated but didn't give up. One day, a stranger arrived in the village. He claimed to be an expert builder and offered to help. Tom was so relieved that he believed the man hook, line, and sinker. He didn't ask for proof or references. The stranger took charge, and the villagers followed his instructions. But soon they realized the man was a fraud. His plans made no sense, and the materials he asked for were too expensive. Tom felt embarrassed. He had trusted the wrong person. But he knew he couldn't give up. He called another meeting and said, "We need to do away with this man's ideas and start over. We'll use our own knowledge and work together." The villagers agreed. They decided to use simple, local materials and build small, sturdy homes. This time, Tom made sure everyone had a clear role. He asked the older villagers for advice and listened carefully. Slowly but surely, the homes began to take shape. One day, as they put the final touches on the last house, Tom stepped back and smiled. "Hey presto," he said, "we did it." The villagers cheered. They had not only rebuilt their homes but also learned to trust each other. Tom, who had once been unsure of himself, had become a true leader. He was no longer in his brother's shadow. He was the king of the roost in his own right. From that day on, the village thrived. They built a stronger community and prepared for future challenges. Tom's journey taught everyone an important lesson. Even when things seem impossible, working together and staying determined can help you keep your head above water. And so, the village by the river became a place of hope and resilience, all thanks to a young man who dared to step up when it mattered most. End of story. That's all for this idiom practice session. Please keep practicing the idioms we've learned today until the next time when we'll pick up 7 more idioms and master them. Bye for now.